I'd like to talk a little bit about some of your public sector work as well as the private. I know you've done quite a lot of collaboration with the NHS in rolling out their what was it, Great Food, Good Health program. Just tell us a little bit about that. What was your involvement?
Well, I got when I've appeared thousands of years ago on BBC MasterChef as a judge. I was with John Prescott and Lloyd Grossman, and I got on very well with Lloyd, and I suddenly got a phone call from someone saying, "Hey, you know, Lloyd Grossman is looking to get 6 chefs together to do this better hospital food. We're thinking of maybe if you want to be one of the 6." So I kind of left it to it. And then 7 o'clock one Saturday night, when the world was about to end and the kitchen was full of craziness and madness, and there's a conference happening and the wedding's about to have their main course and the restaurant's full, the kitchen phone went, and my sous chef Neil answered the phone, and kitchen, you know, good lad, and then he kind of put his hand over the whatever it's called, but didn't, and then said, "Chef, there's a bloke on phone that's trying to sound like my Grossman, but I don't think it is," type of thing. And I thought, oh my God, it's probably going to be, it is. So I ran to the phone and it was, "Hi, Don." Well, "Hi, Lloyd, I'm sorry about that." And then kind of, and then it was like, whoa. He said to me, "Right, civil servant, come and collect you on Tuesday in a car. I want you to take to Jimmy's in Leeds. I want you to go and look at the hospital catering. I want you involved with this thing, yes or no?" Yes. Phone went down. Tuesday arrived, tried to make myself look smart, which was quite tough. Went to Jimmy's, and then that was it. I visited 48 hospitals over 2.5, 3 years in the NHS. Wow. And I then got, and at the end of that process, got involved with the kind of the special projects, which was tough and difficult. I did all the press conferences. I faced up to the wrath of the Sunday Times and the grief that everybody, these 6 chefs got.
There was a lot of media scrutiny, wasn't there, after that listeria outbreak?
It was really hard. This was in 2003. So, yeah, number of the chefs dropped out because it was tough, hard work. You know, the Daily Mail were on to me saying, "What's the point in getting involved with this? It's going to be a failure." And I'd say, "Sunshine, excuse me, I'm bothered. I'm trying. What are you doing?" Yeah. You know, I wasn't being difficult, but so visiting that amount of hospitals, I met the most amazing people, and those people that need rectifying. And I saw some great food and some poor stuff, and I learnt so much from that. It was really, really good, and that helped me understand then my other ambitions. I then was sent by the government to prison to go. I worked in a couple of prisons, and then I also then got with Stephen Byers to look at food in schools. I'm not saying it's the same, it isn't. And then that whole better hospital food thing, even though we did quite a lot of work and some of it was successful, it became quite political and it kind of died slowly. And then a few years ago, it became resurrected, and they very kindly asked me to return to the fold.
And since you have returned to the fold, I mean, at Klipspringer we've worked with the NHS closely, and obviously, like we mentioned before, there's been a lot of media and public scrutiny since that listeria outbreak, where I think 7 patients tragically died a few years ago. Do you think that the government and the NHS's attitudes towards food safety are as they should be? It's prioritised to the extent that it should be?
I think there's nothing more important than health. So I think anybody dealing with food, it always requires a lot more. It's tough, that's difficult. But you know, recently in the news there was a whole thing about, you know, bad meat being purchased and then trimmed down, that kind of stuff. It's different within the NHS, but I think it's tough. Serving 1 million meals a day ain't easy, you know, and there is no blueprint. So every single hospital you go to probably has a different way of serving food. Some of it's contract caterers, some of it's in-house, some of it's 50-50, some comes from centralised production. There's a lot of different ways of, I mean, I went to the hospital, I remember one in Nottingham, where I said, what are you messing at? Why are these peas cold, you know, when they get to the ward? So the porter said to me, no. I thought, okay, right, shut up. And I went with the porter, and it took us, I think, 22 minutes to get from the kitchen to the ward with a trolley.
Blimey.
And we went through ups and downs and lifts, and it was like, wow, this is crazy. It's like half a marathon. So by the time you got to it, then the food had to be plugged in and whatever. So understanding logistics, it needs attention. But it's about money. If you want great hospital food, and the same within schools and better facilities, it needs investment. So you either pay more, the public, or the taxes, excuse my ignorance, I'm not a politician, I could be, but you either pay more or you have less. What do you want?
Was that something you were able to I don't know, get an insight into when you were working on it, the funding that was allocated to it by the government?
Yes.
Was it sufficient?
They were amazing.
They were amazing.
Amazing with information. If you checked into that hospital, the daily budget was £4.17 for breakfast, lunch and dinner.
Right.
£4.17 breakfast, lunch, dinner. How's that work, please? But the one 10 miles away was £7. So you had disparity between pricing and costings and all sorts of stuff. But the information was there. I mean, there was some stuff I didn't really agree with, like there were 67 different suppliers of frozen peas. I worked out the back of a fag packet, someone else's fag packet, not mine, that actually if we had one supplier of peas, we could save a few £1 million. But we couldn't, because there's obviously laws and rules and politics involved with that whole thing. But I then came out with a famous kind of statement about, why can't the whole of the country have shepherd's pie on a Tuesday? 20 million shepherd's pies, please. But then of course you've got, the different impacts of the profile of the customers and the areas and things. But there is something in there that says there's a better way of doing it. But,
and I imagine that sort of standard would be a lot easier using a centralised food production system. But I'm not sure if the NHS is suitable for that.
No, we've been discussing that, looking at that, and those guys are very, very good. They're on the ball and they're very open-minded. I think that is something you could look at. As long as it looks good, tastes good, does you good, hits the margin, those things, I think that is the way to go. Perfect. Imagine if we had the very best chefs from all walks of life in one big box. Now, imagine if we had the very best chefs from all walks of life in 50 boxes, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, blah, blah, blah. And we churn out so many, hundreds of thousands of meals with, oh, hello, Dorothy, it's your happy birthday on it today, or whatever. I mean, there's ways of looking at it.
Absolutely.
But it takes some